It's Suetube time. I want to talk today about short sales. One thing that I want to tell you is I did send out an email to telling you that there were zip forms that were available for you, and they really are great. If you haven't had a chance, you're going to want to make sure that you check it out. There's a short sale checklist. If you've got a seller that has a short sale problem, it actually divides, the checklist divides it into 4 areas. It tells you what you need for the preliminary background, such as comparable market analysis, listing questionnaire, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Then the second phase is alternatives to a short sale. It lays out what the seller's options are, and it says the seller should talk to the lender first. Great ideas: forbearance agreements to suspend loan payments, repayment penalty, or prepayment plans with the seller's lender, loan modifications, deed in lieu of foreclosure, bankruptcy, the preparing for short sale, and that's the lender loss mitigation, and that it says you need to present the contract and the addendum S and SLs, which is short sale listing, and executive listing, execute a listing contract and an addendum, and authorization to talk, and finally a short sale application to lender. And it tells what the seller needs to bring when they go to talk to their lender. But the WRA has put together an addendum SSL to the listing contract short sales. It states and it identifies a listing contract, and it says who is going to be signing it with respect to that. It defines what a short sale is. It says the seller must negotiate a written agreement with the lender whereby the lender will accept less than what is actually owed to release the mortgage on the property. Any offer accepted by seller must include a short sale contingency requiring prior lender approval. Then they talk about tax consequences. It states that if the lender does forgive the deficiency and the seller does not qualify for the mortgage forgiveness debt relief, then the seller may owe income tax on the debt forgiven. And then they again obviously will tell them and urge the seller to talk with a qualified tax professional. It addresses the credit rating consequences, and it states that there may be adverse consequences to seller's credit rating if the lender forgives part of the amount owed, depending upon the lender's characterization of the short sale. It then talks about the documentation necessary to go and talk to the lender and what they're going to need. But what's most important is the final 2 sentences, or the last sentence. Broker may help seller assemble and submit this information to lender, and will furnish the lender with market data regarding the local housing inventory, home prices, holding versus closing costs, and such other documentation and information that may help seller win lender approval. That's where they give you authority, because typically we can't jump into anybody else's mortgage. But if the seller gives us that authority, they're doing it through this statement. Then they have a division where it calls authorization to assist seller in making arrangements with lender. Seller authorizes broker to discuss with seller's lenders the detail of the seller's loan and the short sale requirements. Seller provide written authorization letters to broker as needed. So if the lender wants something from the seller's agreeing to give it to him. Broker shall assist seller to make arrangements for short sales, but any negotiations involving legal, tax, or personal financial advice must be handled by seller's attorney or other professional advisor. Authorization to market just states that the seller authorizes broker to disclose that the transaction will be a short sale. Remember that these could be privacy issues, so we want to make sure that we have that in writing, or that they've accepted it, which is in writing. Lender's approval within lender's discretion. Bottom line there, actually this verbiage talks about an as-is condition, but it states that the seller recognizes that the parties may be forced to wait a very long time for the lender's response, and that broker has no control over the outcome. If you have a question about that, see Jeff Deacon. It took him a long time, and he had a very understanding buyer, obviously, that wanted that property. But it can be months before this puts together. And then finally, broker not liable says that the seller understands that broker does not control lender decisions, and seller shall not hold broker responsible if the lender rejects a short sale, imposes terms, and etc. Make sure you have this addendum on any listing contract that you have. that is involving a short sale. Involved with that, they also have put together, they being the Wisconsin Realtors Association, a listing questionnaire regarding title issues. This again is the one that talks about whether they have, if they're a property owner, personal representative, guardian, whatever. But it's a lot like a property condition report. However, there are several areas that I think that they didn't miss a beat when they added this. Number 12, persons claiming rights to occupy or live in the property. 13, basement room used as bedrooms not in compliance with building code. 14, unpaid homeowners or condominium association dues. In my condominium, there was somebody that went through a bankruptcy, and a foreclosure rather, and I guess both, and didn't pay any mortgage, condo fees, and of course that shows up. Number 18, unpaid assessments for utility service or municipal improvements. 23, lawsuits involving the property, pending or threatened. And finally, missed mortgage payments, number 26, or foreclosure or bankruptcy filing. This is a great one to make sure, the listing questionnaire regarding title issues, to make sure that we have a good idea before you put the house on the market. Then we have the addendum to the offer to purchase, which is the short sale. It once again defines the short sale definitions, obviously. And then it talks about the lender approval contingency. Third sentence there says, if a lender's approval of the sale is conditioned upon modification of certain terms and conditions of the offer, those changes are not binding upon buyer and seller without the parties' mutual consent expressed in an amendment to the offer. The sale is considered approved by the lender when the offer has been amended to incorporate the terms required by the lender, or when the lender's approval is received by seller, if no offer modifications are necessary. They then have some provisions that you can check. The first one is an as-is, and that again is seller is selling the property as is. Seller has not made any warranty or representations regarding the condition and will not make any repairs or cure any defects. Accordingly, buyer is responsible for determining the condition of the property and has included any necessary inspection and test contingencies in this offer. Or you can also do one, both, whatever. Deadlines run from the time of lender approval. All deadlines, excluding the deadline for payment of earnest money, such as for financing and home inspection contingencies, shall run from the time the lender approves the sale instead of acceptance of the offer. That's great when you're trying to keep everyone in deadline time frames. And then finally, the deadline for lender approval. If seller has not obtained all needed lender approval is honored before, and you put a deadline in there. Buyer may terminate this offer by written notice to seller no later than 5 days after the lender approval deadline, and buyer's earnest money shall be promptly returned. So you can do 1, 2, all 3. But this addendum to the offer to purchase is such a good idea, because you're going to have everybody understand where the deadlines are and hopefully keep everybody on track. Take some time, take them out, study them. There are new zip forms through the WRA. And then I also want to mention, as you know, CEs are starting. Tommy Nelson will be conducting it. Judy sent out a notice trying to find out who is not attending CEs so that she can have someone cover for her. If those of you that are not going to attend, please get in touch with Judy. She doesn't need to know all of us that are going, but those that are not. So hopefully everything is going well for you. Thanks for watching Suetube today. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.